Hey there, welcome. Welcome to Rise and Receive. This is an opportunity in your day to stop whatever you're doing, whether you're here live or will be watching the video later on, and explore how to receive your fulfillment by unlearning struggle. So today we're going to talk about a very common experience, which has to do with feeling like you're not enough. Or there's not enough. It's the idea, the concept, the energy of not enoughness. So before I dive into today's Rise and Receive, because this is such a powerful concept, I invite you to just take a moment to think about where in your life is it that you feel not enough. Just kind of identify it, because this is going to have a lot more meaning for you and have a lot more opportunity for you as we unpack today's Rise and Receive. So the title of today's Rise and Receive is What Enough Feels Like and Why It's Important. And that's what we're going to talk about today. This is a super important concept that when you start to go deeper into it, it really can transform your capacity to receive your fulfillment with much greater ease. So if you don't know me, my name is Sonia Miller. I'm a speaker, coach, and best-selling author. And I help hardworking, goal-oriented people to see the blind spots that prevent them from receiving their long overdue rewards. And the way that I do this is I teach people the distinct and results-producing skill set that I call receiving. Because if there's one thing I've learned over 25 years of coaching is that hardworking, goal-oriented people know how to work hard. They have that skill set. But the less familiar skill set is how to actually receive what you've been working so hard for. And that is a skill set. So what happens is you work hard for your goals, you work and work and work and think and strategize and hunt and pursue. And when you don't receive your goals, when you don't receive your fulfillment, what do? We work even harder. That's when hard work can actually sabotage you, okay? Because it's the wrong tool for the job. So we unpack this, and I do this by illuminating the blind spots. So what is a blind spot? A blind spot occurs when your current point of view hides an essential insight. And a receiving blind spot, in other words, the thing that you can't see that you need to see in order to receive what you want, a receiving blind spot occurs when you're operating more as a human doing, i.e. hard work, versus a human being, which is simply being. Being is receiving. And a great example of that is the majestic tree or the flower. All it is doing is being. And it receives all day long, every day, all day, everything it needs, and I dare say much of what it probably wants, if it wants at all. So, what's today's blind spot? Today's blind spot is the enoughness blind spot. Well titled, right? Enoughness blind spot. Now, blind spots by definition are blind to you. You can't see them. You can't see what you can't see. So I like to give clues. So you know that your enoughness blind spot might be sabotaging you when you feel inadequate. You feel like, I'm just enough, I'm inadequate, there's not enough of me, I'm not being enough, I'm not doing enough in order to have what I want, in order to receive what I want. That can show up in lots and lots of ways. Okay, that can show up in work where you feel like you're not enough of whatever they want in order to be paid more, in order to get a promotion. It can happen in relationships where you feel really insecure and you kind of contort yourself and you don't show yourself fully, or you hide yourself, or you just feel lots of insecurity, and it can go on and on. I mean, not enoughness shows up in all sorts of ways in our feeling state. So it's a feeling of inadequacy. It also gets projected onto our world where nothing in our outer world is enough. And so we project not enoughness onto money, onto our bodies, onto our relationships, onto our time, onto our circumstances. It is such a prevalent sort of a experience. So you can feel it internally, you can project it out into your world, you just experience it everywhere you look. So it's insufficiency. So that's how you might have, if it's kind of like this pervasive feeling and you feel like you've been working on it and it's something that you think or say or feel a lot, then that could be a sign that this is the blind spot. So let's see here. I got some good notes. So how do we open the flow gates? right? How do we open the floodgates to enoughness? Well, the first thing to understand is that lack or not enoughness, because that's what not enoughness is. Not enoughness is a sense of lack. Lack is not a fact. Lack is not a fact. It's the feeling that arises in your body. It's the feeling you feel in your body. And I got to check my notes here. When you believe the thought, it isn't just have the thought, it's you believe the thought that I require more than I can currently access. I require more than I can currently access. Now, it's really important, this is the first piece of opening the floodgates, is to understand that not enoughness and lack is not a fact. It's a lens through which you see life. It's a lens through which you see yourself. It's a lens through which you see your relationships. It's a lens through which you look at money. It's a lens. It's like a pair of glasses that you put on. And once you realize that it's not a fact, that it's a way that you see things, you can then exercise your power to remove those lenses and put on some different lenses. Now, why are lenses so important? Well, remember we're talking about blind spots? Because your consciousness creates your reality. Your consciousness, everything that happens in your inner world, is the place where cause and effect occurs. So if you believe that you don't have enough, there's no way for you to experience enoughness, because that's your consciousness. But when you take those lenses off and put on some new lenses, and you start to become willing to see where there is enough, how there is enough, okay, just the willingness, the ability to see that it's a choice and that it's not a fact, is the beginning of opening the floodgates. So I talked about the topic for today is, what does enough feel like? Now, what's interesting about this is not enoughness is so prevalent, at least with all the people that I talk to, that it's such a dominating feeling. Most people know what that feels like. Most people can at least touch into it if it's not this common struggle. That's very easy to access. But do you have any idea what enoughness feels like? Just ask yourself that question. Well, I'm going to give you 2 ways that you can begin to tap into that feeling. Okay, but first I want to talk about why this is so important. So we're going to work backwards. We're going to talk about what does enough feel like and why it's so important. Okay, well, if you buy into this idea that your consciousness creates your reality, okay, that means that everything you believe and feel, the lenses through which you see, is going to create that. So if you believe and see and experience not enough, that's what you will receive into your life. Everything that you receive will be not enough, not enough, not enough. Okay? When you can start to tap into the feeling and the lens of enoughness, you're going to start to open the floodgates to what has always been here, because not enough and lack is not a fact. It's not a fact. It's a way of seeing life. And when you activate your power to choose, you can open the floodgates that quickly, because it's a shift in perspective. You drop that blind spot, you see more clearly, shift in perspective, all of a sudden, everything becomes possible in a way that it wasn't possible before. So that's why it's so important, and that's how it opens the floodgates, and that's how it taps into ease and speed of receiving your fulfillment. Again, I want to emphasize, if you look at the world through the lens of not enough, you will never, ever, ever, ever be able to feel enoughness, because you keep creating the reality of not enough. So we have to begin with the lens through which you see yourself, life, and the world. Now, how do we feel enough? What does enough feel like? Okay, the simple answer is this, and this is why it can be so tricky. Enoughness feels like the absence of wanting. You want for nothing. You want for nothing. Now, I want to tell you a story. This is how I kind of went down this rabbit hole, and so much opened up for me around this understanding. So I was working on myself, as I always do. I'm the eternal student, and then I teach what I learn. And I was healing a lot of, wounds and abandonment stuff and all kinds of things. So I was doing some deep emotional labor. And then one day, this happened some years ago, I went on a trip. And I was in San Francisco early morning, the sun is shining, and I'm walking on the sidewalk near the Embarcadero. And I was overcome with just joy and peace and well-being. I was so filled up, just completely filled up. And at that moment in my life, it was a kind of a foreign feeling because I'd been really struggling for a while. And I was like, what's this feeling? I really was like, what is this feeling? It was so unfamiliar and so foreign to me in that moment. And I just kind of lived in the question, like, what is this feeling that I'm feeling just walking down the street? And ultimately an answer came. I'm like, this is the feeling of enoughness. Enoughness was nothing was missing. In that moment, in those moments, nothing was missing. All was right in my world. But it really was, I wanted for nothing. And I had been working so hard towards healing and goals and dreams and just perceiving so much lack in my life that when for a moment, and it was more than a few moments, that feeling just kind of went away for no apparent reason. I didn't do anything. I just was kind of blessed with grace for a while. But I was able to recognize that that feeling was the absence of wanting. So how do you create the absence of wanting when you want, right? You're wanting, which means that you think you don't have what you want, which means you believe that there's lack, there's something missing. So how do you make that go away? That's the problem. Most people try to make their feelings go away, and that doesn't work because what you resist persists. Right? So if you focus on making the feeling of wanting go away, the feeling of wanting is going to persist even more. You might be able to bury it for a while. You might be able to set it aside for a while. But until you actually allow it to be here, then the joy, as Eleanor's saying, when we feel joy, we want nothing naturally. Exactly. And that joy, great to see you, Eleanor, that joy already lives within us. It's always there and available, but if we're looking at life through the lens of lack, it doesn't matter. That's what you will see and experience because your consciousness creates your reality, right? So how do we tap into that joy, that feeling of nothing is missing, all is well, naturally? We simply let the lack, let the feeling of not enoughness be here. Let it breathe, let it take up space, right? Just let it be here. And then we simply change the direction of our attention. So one really simple way is to practice gratitude. Now, I asked you to think about an area of life where you're feeling not enough. So just for example, let's say you've been really feeling not enough with your body. Maybe it's symptoms, some health issues, a diagnosis, maybe it's a beauty, well-being, something with your body. And your mind has been focusing on not enough, not enough, not enough. And furthermore, you've been trying to address this as a human doing, which is, well, what do I do? How do I eat? How do I exercise? What supplements do I need to take? What treatments do I need? Problem solving. All of that problem solving is the human doing. A lot of thinking and a lot of action. But the consciousness behind that, underneath that is, there's a problem. There's not enough. I need to fix it. Therefore, that consciousness creates more. I have a problem, not enough. I need to fix it for eternity until you direct your awareness in a different way. Okay, so you're focusing on the body. You're feeling not enough. Okay, then I invite you to take on this game. Make it a game. Make it fun. Of every day in your journal, out loud, driving in the car, you find 20 things about your body, about your beauty, about your health that you are grateful for. I promise if you do this every day for 20 days, it won't take long for that feeling of not enoughness and all sorts of possibilities to come into your life because your awareness is on not just the absence of the wanting and the not enoughness, but you start to see the enoughness. You start to feel the enoughness. I am grateful for the ways that my lungs breathe air effortlessly and the way I'm able to move around and the way I'm able to stretch and take in beauty with my eyes and hear sounds with my ears and taste delicious food with my tongue. I mean, if you really put your attention on all the things that you're grateful for about your body, your whole being will align with the enoughness. And this applies to any area of your life. So gratitude, people hear about attitude of gratitude and gratitude lists all the time. But many people don't understand why it's so powerful, because gratitude is the consciousness of I am, I have right now. I call it the consciousness of havingness. The consciousness of havingness. Gratitude is the energy of I am this right now. I have this right now. Not when, then, in the future. Nothing to fix. Right here, right now. You start receiving more and better right here, right now. So that's one way. That's an easy way to take on the game and start to tap into feelings of enoughness. Now, here's another one that's a little bit more, I'm not going to call it advanced, but I fell upon this by accident, and it's kind of a mind blower, but it's super powerful because it gets you in the feeling of enoughness, okay? You don't fix not enoughness, because if you're fixing the presupposition, the consciousness is there's a problem, so you manifest more problem. You want the absence of this whole thing. So you want to play with the energy of what if I never had this thought? What if I never even knew what not enoughness was? Who would I be if that were the case? So the game that I like to offer people an opportunity to play with is, imagine you're from another planet. And on this other planet, as a resident of this planet, the idea of not enough simply doesn't exist. The experience of not enough simply does not exist. Everything that you could ever need or want is simply available right here, right now. And give yourself an opportunity to literally just put yourself in that imaginary state. I live on this planet where we don't even know what not enough is. It doesn't exist. There's no word for it. There's no experience for it. There's no frame of reference for it. And just imagine you're walking around on that planet and you don't even know what it is. And then you come to this planet and you hear people talking about feeling not enough. And it's like your brain goes tilt, like, what is that? I don't even understand what that is. All right. Once you've gotten into the feeling of that, start writing about it. Okay. Because the language, and you'll say, I feel this and I feel this and I feel this. And you'll write how you feel. In other words, who would you be without the thought, I am not enough? Now, to give credit where credit is due, this is borrowed from Byron Katie's work, okay? And she asks, who would you be without the thought? If you give yourself the opportunity to contemplate that, like really get into your body, who would I be if I didn't even have the concept of not enough? And you get into that and you start writing about that, you can come up with your own affirmation. I am willing to feel and know, fill in the blanks. Now, those words could be really sound simple to somebody else, but because you've been through this process of feeling it, those words will have tremendous power. They'll be imbued with the feeling that you connected with through this exercise. Then say that affirmation as often as you like, and you'll be connecting to the feeling of, this is who I am. This is the feeling of enoughness, and you'll start to experience that directly in your body. So that is my offering for you today. And this was inspired from the card in the Receive Oracle card deck, which is Soothe Your Sense of Lack. So I'm going to give you an affirmation that you can simply play with if you like. And then you can watch the video that I'll include where I do a deep dive into this card itself. I am willing to see and feel all of the ways that I am loved and cared for. I am willing to see and feel all of the ways that I am loved and cared for. When you read this whole card in the book, which comes with the Receive Oracle card deck, there you go, you will understand more deeply how ultimately not enoughness, ultimately lack, is a desire to know and feel that under all conditions you are loved and cared for. So this goes deep, yet the concept is really profound and life-changing. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you took away at least one nugget where you can open the flow gates. If you like this, please like, please share. It helps me reach the people that I'm here to serve. And if you're on YouTube, click the red subscribe link. I will let you know each time I release a video. And one more fun thing, the Receive community is alive and well on Facebook. If you have purchased your own deck of cards, you are eligible to join. So just go check us out. We'll include links for that. Thanks so much for being here and have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.